Hello, everyone. It is Tuesday, June 16th. Welcome to Chewed Gum. This is a show about rejecting purity culture, challenging misogyny, and the effects of religious trauma on women. I'm Alyssa.
And I'm your girl, Taylor.
I'm your girl, Taylor. Hey. How you doing today?
Good. I know we were talking about this earlier, but we were talking about, the UFC fight at the White House and such. And one thing I find to be really interesting about the comment that was made about Michelle Obama being a man or whatever is that these are the same people who get so upset when you say that sex and gender are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
But they call her a man as an insult. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me, but neither does really anything else they do.
I think you've made a grave error in this criticism because you are assuming that there's like literally any level of critical thought in anything that any MAGA person ever believes. It's just,
yeah, that is facts.
It's just so ridiculous. Like, even just the spectacle of the UFC fight, like having wrestlers, I don't know, are they called wrestlers? I don't fucking know. Running down the stairs of the Lincoln Memorial. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's also just so trashy. I don't know. The whole thing was tacky and trashy, and it was, and apparently there were like ads for Trump's, I don't know, some kind of coin.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
It's so trashy. It's kind of hard to believe sometimes how trashy it is.
It is so tacky. It's so trashy. But we're also like, we're referring to Mr. Gold everything himself, including a gold toilet. So what else could we really expect from this man?
Yeah. And then, of course, we know that now taxpayer dollars are going towards a ballroom, which I think a lot of us already knew is the case.
Mm-hmm.
But for the longest time, MAGA supporters had this line of he's paying for it himself, his donors are paying for it. It's like, well, now what? And then also for the UFC fight stuff, there some things I guess were paid for by the UFC, but then we used like our people working for the government for security. And then I think they had jets flying over and stuff. So it's just like, yeah, but our tax dollars are still being used on this.
Yeah, of course they are. Of
So,
course they are. And, I would like to know where all of the people who voted for Trump because he thought he would help the economy are. Where are
right.
you? Because we're spending an exorbitant amount of money on the stupidest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. And it's mortifying. I cannot believe that like they had a UFC fight on the grounds of the White House. Disgusting.
Did you see him come out and weigh in and how he acted like belligerent drunk with
No.
like vomit like down his chin? It was bizarre.
What? What?
And pe
Trump
yeah,
did?
no, 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 no. The
Oh.
fighter, the
Oh,
fighter.
okay.
And it's weird because everyone says it's I guess his persona or something, but I'm like I don't understand what's funny about it. You see it and it's just gross. And I'm like
That's disgusting.
what like why is like I'm just wondering who finds it funny, but
I don't know. I don't know. The same people who want a UFC match on the White House lawn. And then I'm sure you've seen the stuff about the reflecting pool and how obviously they
yes.
repainted it. And now it is full of mold and not mold, algae.
Hmm.
And I saw another conservative content creator standing in front of the reflecting pool and was like, "This pool looks beautiful, and
Oh,
there's no mold." Oh my God.
was it that guy on Fox News who was like,
Yes.
yeah, and I earlier I was trying to look up photos of before and after, like
Yeah.
the what Trump did, and I'm still looking into that because I don't want to like bring up an edited photo that looks better than it did in the past.
Yeah.
But I know it doesn't look good. I know it looks
No.
like shit
No.
either way, so
And I believe the way that he sort of like made it look okay was it's a reflecting pool. So like if you have the
right.
camera at whatever angle, it might not pick up all the algae. I'm assuming that's what he did.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's just the dumbest. I I think I won't be able to explain the rage in me if he actually builds that arch as well, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Is it called
I
like
do.
Triumph or some Triumph Arch? I don't know.
I don't
But
know. It's like everything that he does is so tacky and all kind of the same. It's like he would name the arch like Big Guns Triumph Succeed Independence. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
super
Ugh.
awesome American dominate like it's so
Oh my
it's
God.
so stupid. I can't freaking
It's just
stand it.
it's so embarrassing. I'm so tired of it. And I also just, I don't know, like I think I haven't actually lived on my own for an extended period of time in a couple of years actually. I was living at my parents' house before. And I knew that like I was benefiting from being able to do that. But like it totally hits you different when you're doing your own grocery shopping again.
Oh
And
yeah.
like I would buy groceries for myself, but like not to stock the house. Like I would buy stuff that
Right.
like I knew I was gonna eat and that was it. But like now doing it for myself again, I knew it was expensive, obviously. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, the groceries, I don't it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's
Like
so
what you get for
bad.
your money is it's yeah, it's really
I
bad.
saw I saw bulbs of garlic by me for almost $1 per bulb.
Yeah, I
What are
know.
we doing?
I know. It's really, really brutal. And I mean, people are feeling it. That's the thing, except they keep telling them this is short-term pain for long-term gain, but it's just more long-term pain. And it makes me wonder, because obviously, well, I have seen people that are over Trump at this point. I mean, his ratings keep going down, but it makes me wonder how many more, if it goes on longer, how many more people are going to be like, all right, yeah, he lied, or not even admit it, but just stop being a part of that movement. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch also because it like a lot of the people who are MAGA are struggling financially. They're in small towns,
Hmm.
right? And it's just ugh. It's so weird watching them celebrate when it's like the world's first trillionaire or whatever.
Yeah,
He was announced, and I'm like, but you barely make enough to get by. Why do you think these people should exist like this?
I know. And I have been thinking about how there's the phrase that goes around that is there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And I
Hmm.
feel like I need to make a video to explain how that's the case because that phrase is thrown around so much and I have so many like random people in my DMs that are like, I posted the there was I think it was Impact maybe that posted a carousel of things that Elon Musk could do with his $1 trillion.
Hmm.
And one of them, by the way, is he could give 1 million people $1 million each, which is so crazy.
Insane.
Um, but there's like a handful of people who just repeatedly like DM me hate stuff, like hate related, like hate messages. I don't know. And there's one guy in particular who messages me constantly to just like be in opposition with whatever I do. And one of them was he responded to the Elon Musk thing, and I didn't open it because I just like can't deal with this man. But I saw he said, like in the preview, I saw he said, and he earned every cent.
Did he though? Like, did he?
No, of course not.
Everybody acts like Elon Musk is this great inventor, but he invests in companies or buys them.
Right.
He's
I
not
know.
like some extraordinary. It's just it's so frustrating to watch. Especially when we see these people with like hordes of wealth. We see like wealth being shut like basically let them eat cake style, like shown off in front of us.
Hmm.
And then Trump always has the nerve to say, we can't pay for everybody's health care. We can't pay for childcare. We can't. And it's like, you obviously can.
Yeah,
Like, it's just a
obviously. Yeah.
joke. It's just an
Hmm.
absolute joke. Yeah.
It's so crazy. Um, well, yeah, I mean, fuck Elon Musk. He's ugly and he is
I literally
weird
hate him.
and I and a bad person,
And I
which
hate
is the
his
most
app.
important
I hate
first.
his app. And I go on there sometimes, once in a while, if it's politically related, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that happens on there. And oh my God, it's a cesspool. It's
I don't
so,
even have it on my phone anymore because
it's
I'm just scared.
shocking. It's shocking. Like, and then another thing that makes it shocking is you will see anything on there. And when I say anything, I mean stuff you're not expecting to see, like
Hmm.
someone like getting in an accident and dying that
Yeah,
is graphic. I'm like, what am I looking at right now?
I
It's
don't know.
disgusting.
There's a man who passed on Sunday. He's like a musician. His name's Oliver Tree.
Oh yeah. Me and my husband would listen to him sometimes, so
Oh,
I know
really?
who he was. Yeah.
He's like he's a friend of one of my very good friends, and so it was weird. I didn't actually realize how like big he was until I saw all of the like posts for him, and I like, it's just so sad because I think he was like he's in his 30s
I
for
think
sure.
32
Oh my
because
God, so
the
young.
because he was with a YouTuber who was 23. I remember seeing that like the numbers were switched. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he was
Yeah.
32. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought on that though.
What was I gonna say about Oliver Tree? I lost my track. I don't remember what it was. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I interrupted you, so I feel bad.
No, no.
I made a video earlier today because I'm already seeing those annoying videos being like, did he know God? I hope he's not in hell, basically. I'm like, can you guys shut up for 2 seconds? Like, can
Oh,
you wait a little bit of time
oh my
before you
God.
do this?
I what I was gonna say was the video of his helicopter crash.
Oh,
The
you saw
helicopter.
it?
I didn't see it, but I know it was on X
Yeah.
for a little while. And that's just like it's the same thing with the Charlie Kirk
Yeah, that's what
shooting.
I was just thinking. Like the
Why?
graphic
Oh my
video of
God.
it.
It's horrible. I can't understand like how that's allowed on that
Yeah.
platform. But
And
they also have Grok making child porn, so
Yeah, and anytime I see one of those very up close violent things, it's hard to get it out of your brain. Um, but it made me think about when Eric Dane died, the guy who played McSteamy from
Mm-hmm. Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy.
Anatomy. I just kept seeing video after video being like, it's so sad that he didn't believe in God. It's so sad that he's in a worse place. And I'm like, imagine if their loved ones saw videos like this.
Right.
Like Oliver Tree died yesterday. Why are you
Right.
posting this? I don't know. To me, it makes me angry because it lacks any kind of self-awareness of maybe I shouldn't be posting this. Maybe this isn't a nice or kind thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously that's not the goal. I'm sure the goal is to be like, you should believe in my religion because you might die any day like this person and go to hell, which is sick, but
You know what's so interesting about like something like this is like more than anything, this when stuff like this happens to somebody who is so young, I would hope that it inspires people to not be so worried about what happens after you die and like really make the most out of the days that you have here.
right,
Because you have actually, we have no idea. We have no idea
right.
what happens. We have no idea if Oliver Tree is able to like, experience things now that he's, passed. We have no idea.
Mhm.
And so now you all are just banking on this thing that you don't know exists when in reality, like the reason why it's sad is because we don't know that he has anything else. We know that his time on Earth with everyone else is over and people loved
Right.
and cared about him.
Right. And that's what I think about the most is typically the closest loved ones because I don't believe typically like I don't know, but I don't believe the person is feeling something. So I mean I think about their parents, I think about their siblings or if they have kids or
Hmm.
whatever it is. And it's really yeah, it's really devastating to see.
Yeah. It is. It's really, really sad. And the way that like people online handle stuff like this is fucking disgusting. Um,
I know. I try not to look at it too much or else my faith in humanity starts to dwindle and then I get an attitude of like,
mhm.
fuck you guys.
Yeah, like there
And
was
I
a
don't want to do that, but it's hard.
yeah, and I don't want to like dwell on this too long, and we'll move on to take calls in a second. Um, but one of the things is I don't know much about this person, so like this is now that I'm gathering it because it's been like sort of all over the place, and because I talked to my friend about this the day that he passed.
Mhm.
He dated Melanie Martinez for a period of time, and the fans, for some reason, think that he was abusive, like despite her coming
Oh,
out several times and saying that that was not the case. And obviously, like, you know, the victims always don't always view what they were experiencing as abuse, but like then
right,
you, as the observer who don't know these people in real life, cannot continue that conversation because you don't know these people literally at all and she's
right,
not asking to be treated as a victim.
right,
So, what are you doing? And then she posted a statement again on Sunday that was like, she was so heartbroken for his family and his friends, and they were nothing but kind to each other, like that sort of thing. And there are these like rumors of abusive behavior, and in the statement she says none of that was ever true. And it's just like this man just passed. Like the fact that you have to do that and like
yeah. It's a game of telephone with all of those
it's
kind
so
of things,
crazy.
and I feel like
So
people,
crazy.
I feel like people want to find that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Sometimes I think people want bad things to be true, and obviously we
Yeah.
don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's
Weird.
like literally everyone thinks that they know what goes on in the lives of celebrities. You don't know these people literally at all.
Yeah,
And you see pretty consistently, you will see the things that they want you to see. Like there's a reason why you don't ever see pictures of like whatever Taylor Swift, and like there were very few pictures of Taylor Swift and some of the other people that I don't like know that much about Taylor Swift, but there are very few pictures of her and other people that she's allegedly dated or has dated. Like
right.
you really think that she hasn't figured out a way so that she won't be
Right.
seen if she doesn't want to be seen. Of course, that's the case. When you see
Right.
celebrities out and about, they knew that they were going to be seen or they planned to be seen. So, like,
Right.
to then make the jump of like calling this person something that his partner explicitly said is not the case, and then to like continue to be in the comments about this person who just passed and talk about this is just like disgusting behavior, and it was making me so mad. I was like, none of you know this person. None of you know this
Right.
person. You actually probably would never in a million years come close to being in the same orbit as this person. And for some reason, you've taken it all upon yourselves to
Right.
determine that the person who was dating him and is telling you that that's not the case, that she's wrong.
Yeah,
Fuck
and that's
off.
and it's a really serious thing to say about somebody, so I feel like you
Right.
should have a decent amount of like, I don't know, anything, but it sounds like they don't, so
No,
it's
it's
just
just so
stupid.
crazy. I don't know. Everyone online is so stupid recently, and I don't know what to do with
That
it.
is facts.
Anyway, we do have some calls that are very patiently waiting for us. If you're watching the stream though, and you haven't liked it in YouTube, please press the thumbs up button because it pushes out the stream to other people to watch, and maybe we'll get some great callers. And also as a reminder, super chats of $5 or more will be read at the end of the show. Um, and that's it. Those are my announcements so far. Do you have a preference of who you would like to take?
Let's just go with the first one.
Okay. Okay. This is Chris calling from Poland. Did we talk to Chris last week? Maybe.
Oh,
Hi, Chris.
maybe. Hi, Chris.
Hello. 2 weeks
Hi. Did we
ago,
talk
maybe.
2 weeks ago? Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I was trying to just put it together because I remember talking to you recently, but all the time is scrambled in my brain.
Time is a tricky concept.
Indeed. Indeed. What did you want to chat about today?
Uh, Regarding what you've been talking about, like people, mm, just a quick commentary because I think it's interesting. When you said about mega people who can't afford anything right now from smaller cities, mm, it kind of goes in line with like believing in the mega thing, and
Hmm.
it's like I've read a ton of papers on similar things on believing in without evidence and conspiracy theories. I mean the psychology of conspiracy theories, and it turns out that people who I mean the best way to tackle conspiracy theories and before people actually start believing shit like MAGA and things like that is for them to have a comprehensive education system. Because
Hmm.
if you give them knowledge and tools before they are exposed, they are far
Mm-hmm.
more likely not to fall into these traps. And if they first hear about these things and then you present them knowledge, they are far less likely to change their mind, even when faced with evidence. And
Hmm.
people with anxious attachment styles tend to be more superstitious or believe in conspiracy theories, and they also tend to lean towards authoritarianism, far right viewpoints, and religion. So yeah, some
That's
random
interesting.
random
No,
facts
It's
that
I've had in my
it's
mind.
it's funny that you say that because today I found a YouTube video and I was talking about that exact thing that you were just talking about because in part of my video I was talking about how I progressed with my politics before I became an atheist. And one thing that broke the camel's back was the QAnon conspiracy theories because I saw so many evangelicals fall down that rabbit hole so easily. And I remember watching a little like mini documentary from Vice about it, and they were talking about what you just said about, they're already used to having faith and just believing in things without seeing any proof for them, so it's very easy for them to get caught up in that. And I also relate it to Trump can lie and lie or or not, or lie about what he's done, or lie about anything, and it doesn't matter. They don't feel like they need proof for certain things because they don't for their entire belief system. So why would it matter now? So yeah, all of that is very, very much connected. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it also turns out that if someone already believes one thing, they are far more likely to believe other stuff.
Right.
Like one believing one conspiracy theory is a strong predictor of believing other conspiracy theories, and even if they mutually exclude one another, evidence that would reject one of them is at the same time reinforcing the other one. So it goes in their heads like in a infinite loop because presented with evidence contrary to one of them automatically becomes counter evidence for the other. I mean, they reinforce each other. So that's one thing. So yeah,
Absolutely.
and also people who are superstitious, also and religious, also are far more likely to fall prey to these kinds of things, like you said. So yeah, like a ton of stuff that's really, really interesting, and it's still not. We still haven't even scratched the surface. It's a fairly new thing. I think one of the first most prominent papers was in 1994. Okay, sorry, I'm rambling.
Yeah,
I like the topic,
about,
so I get it. But
yeah, it's a great topic. But I also want to talk about what you called in about because I want to know more.
Yes, apologies. So what I'm calling in about, I mean, where to start with this? When I was with my ex-wife, when we were together, and I was like heavy into substance abuse, and also like too much porn on the side and things like that. When we were going for a walk, I would notice like
Chris, your audio is getting weird, Chris. I don't know what happened. Hold on. It got like very like it was breaking up. Okay, try again.
Okay. How about now? Is it any better?
Yeah, you sound good now.
Cool. So, okay, I'll try to make this as short as possible. When I'm walking down the street, I tend to notice far more often like women, or quote unquote pretty women, because that's obviously subjective, but pretty women as compared to men in general. And over the years, I thought, and also this notion was kind of reinforced through arguments that I had with my former wife, that I'm being a creep, or that it's unfair towards her, and that I'm basically like creep for doing that. And then I started to realize that when I'm non-binary, and now I am like almost certain I'm actually trans. And then I started thinking that it's not like I look at them and I don't know, and I'm thinking like thinking about sex or sexualizing them per se. It's not like I see them as objects. I look at them and I envy them because of the way how they look, because of their bodies. And like right now, I'm mentally in a clusterfuck because one, is it like the second thing, or am I just trying to rewrite and like redo my own self-image in front of my own eyes to make it like more more pretty, to make myself look better in my own eyes? Or am I lying to myself? Am I actually being a creep? I don't know how even to where to start to, you
Mhm.
know, unfuck the clusterfuck.
Well, I have some thoughts, which first I'll say, even if you were looking at women because you thought they were attractive, that doesn't make you creepy. I think it's just really about like, are you making that person uncomfortable? Um, like, are you staring at them for a long time? Are you repeatedly staring at them? Are like, that kind of stuff. But if you're just like, if you see a person, walking by and you're like, damn, she is hot, and that's a conversation you have in your head, that's fine. Like you can't, you don't want to like thought police yourself. But I also think, while I don't personally have experience with, like gender envy or, um, needing to like sort of navigate what my gender is, um, or how I want to like represent myself rather, I think the closest thing that I can sort of compare it to is, being bisexual, because so often I have moments where I'm like, am I bisexual though? Because I'm married to a man, so am I? And then I'm like, I really think that people who are not bisexual or queer don't even think about that. Like people who are just straight never are in a like they are never in a conversation asking themselves if they are bisexual, unless it's like a very fleeting, like, they just like don't think about it. So similarly, I think that what you're experiencing is probably closer to gender envy more than it is like you objectifying people. Because that that thought would never really cross my mind because I don't have that experience. And so I think because you are having that experience, it is entirely possible that that's what it is. Like, don't gaslight yourself. You're like discovering things, and don't gaslight yourself into thinking that that's not the case. And ultimately, as long as you're not acting on the way that you're feeling when you see these women, um, even if you are thinking that they're attractive, like, it's okay. That's totally fine.
I mean, yeah, it's not like I'm on a bus and like staring at someone. I just like catch a glance and notice people around me,
Hmm.
and basically that's it. And yeah, so I do my absolute best not to make anyone uncomfortable, even to the point when I I see that I'm walking the same way as a woman any age. I mean, older older people may kind of look at me and be kind of put off by how I look. So I try to, pick a different route or just change the side of the street or go some other way, not to
Hmm.
make anyone uncomfortable, because, well, apparently that's the world we live in. Um, that people have to look look over their shoulders. I mean, women have to look over their shoulders. Um, sorry, that's beside the point. I try to be,
Oh,
how to
you're
say it,
Oh,
breaking.
wait,
as
you
least as I try to be as least intrusive as possible, not to step over other people's boundaries, etc. So yeah, that's rather it.
I
I don't know.
think.
Like I said, I'm just
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I no, it's fine. I was just gonna say, I think even the fact that you're constantly, thinking about those things is already good. And yeah, I would just be easier on yourself when it comes to thoughts. It's about what you do with them. Um, what Alyssa said about thought policing and stuff, or, thinking thoughts themselves are a terrible thing. I don't think so. Especially when you're going through what you're going through. I mean, that's hard to even, you're going through your own brain wondering why you feel the way you do. I don't think you're doing anything wrong at all. I think you're being really cautious.
Oh,
That is
Chris.
kind of
Oh, there you are.
that's that's a honestly, that's a relief to hear. It did help me somewhat to I'll I'll go over it like a gazillion more times in my head, but yeah, this
Hmm.
is a piece of like some kind of relief. But I will
Good.
second guess myself like gazillion times more, obviously. But yeah, it does help. It does help a lot
I
either
think
way.
when you're
And
having those thoughts, though, I think it's important to try and interrupt them as best as you can and ask yourself, is the thought that I'm having helpful, or is it me speaking to myself in a critical way? Like, am I being helpful in analyzing my behaviors, or am I leaning towards just being critical? And like, do your best to interrupt the thought whenever you can. And hopefully over time, you sort of like evolve what that conversation is for you in your head.
I will try. I
Okay,
won't
well,
promise anything, but I will try.
yeah, give it a shot. It's not
Awesome.
easy, but thank you so much for calling, Chris. We always appreciate when you call, and we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you guys. I mean, just two more things. One, I wanted to congratulate the line on single-handedly winning with Christianity, because the amount of Christians calling in to any of the shows has like dropped over the last weeks. And the second thing I just wanted to end up with is like, thank you for what you're doing. I think that, I mean, especially True Gum is like, I feel like it's one of my places, because I feel like I can be most vulnerable here. And thank you for that.
That's great to hear. Thank you
Chris,
for
you made
telling us
my
that.
day. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That means a lot to us, and we appreciate you so much. We appreciate how open you are. Like that really is difficult for people to do, and it's very special that you are willing to do that with us.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, funny enough, we do actually have a theist waiting in the wings.
In the
So
ring.
in the ring,
No, I'm just
in the
kidding.
ring, in the UFC ring.
That's
Um,
what I was thinking.
so we're gonna let you go, Chris, but we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye,
Chris.
Chris. Wow, it's so crazy when we have people who call in like over periods of time, and we get to see what their evolution is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy. And I've thought about that before because I wish I need to start writing down certain names, because I do remember we had also somebody deconstructing in like real time, and they had called back a
Yeah.
couple times. It was pretty crazy to watch.
Hmm.
And hopeful and nice. I love to see it.
Yeah, and it's also, I sometimes less now, but in the beginning of doing chewed gum, sometimes I would have this thought of like, am I just getting on the internet and yelling? Like, is this helpful? Like, I don't know.
Right.
And then we get people who call in like Chris or people like that who are like actively deconstructing in front of our eyes. Um,
Right.
and then it's like, well, dang, we really are providing a space for people to have conversations that maybe they wouldn't have had otherwise, and that's really helpful. And it's also like, there are the people who watch the show now, then there are the people who call in, but there are also like thousands of views that accrue over time. Excuse me, when the video's uploaded. So
Yeah.
you never know whose desk it will come across.
Exactly. And I think I've said this before, but that's why a lot of people in my comment section on like social media will be like, why do you even bother? You're not going to change their mind. I'm like, it's not about this person. I mean, if the person takes something from it directly, awesome, but it's for people watching my content. It's not
Mm-hmm.
for the person. Yeah, because of, yeah, stuff like that. It
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Well, I think I remember seeing that comment. Like I've seen you comment that before where like it's not about changing people's minds, but and
Yeah.
Promise has said the same thing where it's like it is more so to support people who are
In the space to be questioning and be
yeah.
like critical and stuff like I'm not trying to convince people not to believe in God, but I am obviously pointing out my criticisms and such, and if somebody is in the space to hear that,
Hmm.
then maybe it'll help them.
Yeah. You never know who you're gonna reach. So
Right.
we do actually have a theist who has called in, and his name is Jeremiah. He's calling from Tennessee. So I'm going to pull in Jeremiah. That is a very biblical name. Hello, Jeremiah.
Hi, Jeremiah.
Hi, good to meet you too. My son's name is Elias, and another biblical name.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You guys you're set up over there.
Well, you know the biblical names, they're going to be around for a long time, right? They've been around a
Yeah.
long time. They're probably going to be around for a long time. You got to go with the biblical names.
Fair
And
enough.
then it's also funny because there are some people who choose names like because they're obviously like a religious affiliation or because they're like classic, they'll never go out of style. And then you have people who have Gwyneth Paltrow like naming her kid Apple for some reason. It's just, you know.
It's a ridiculous. Elon Musk kid's ridiculous name.
Oh
Oh my
my
I
gosh,
don't know why
that's
God.
the
people
most
do that. You got
insane
to try to
one.
help your kid in this world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most insane one.
Brutal, brutal. Anyways, you wanted to talk about some God things. So, explain what you would
Well,
like to
yeah.
chat
I
about
mean,
today.
so I'm a Christian. Jesus, obviously, there are many examples we can point to the way that he treated women, and there's one very clear example where he shows respect to a woman who's, facing public stoning for committing adultery. And I don't know how he could have possibly been more respectful.
So
Um,
your position is that Jesus or God respect women. I know that they're like, kind of the same thing, but in terms of like Old Testament and New Testament vibes, I'm trying to make some sort of um a distinguishing factor here. So where do you want to land on that?
Well, the the New Testament is extremely relevant. We can get to the Old Testament. I'm happy to discuss those issues. A lot of the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament is that the Old Testament is not God as a person acting as a person in the world, showing people how to behave, whereas the New Testament is God becoming a person and living out a life and showing an example of how humans should behave towards each other. And so in that case, in the New Testament, I think you see nothing but respect, definitely from Jesus from himself. You could look to other New Testament rules and concepts to try to call the church or Christians or Christian doctrine disrespectful, but certainly in terms of how Christ himself, who under Christian theology is God, in terms of how he treated women, utmost respect for the women of the time who were most reviled and literally regularly executed. He intervened in that case to stop it. He didn't say it's okay to commit adultery to her, but he did literally make everyone who is shit talking walk away.
do you think God and Jesus are the same person or the same
Yeah,
entity?
that's what Christians believe. Is that's what the whole New Testament spells out, is that God sent his son Jesus, right, who is
Yeah.
God.
My thing is that I don't think the Bible is univocal, so it makes sense to me when you say when you explain to me an instance that is seen as respectful towards women. That doesn't shock me, but that also doesn't change my stance on it because of other things in the Bible.
But what else, so that we can move on to things that aren't related to Jesus? There are other things in the New Testament you could even use to state that it's a disrespectful view towards women or something like that. But first, you should look for one from Jesus. The most extreme example that literally him like calling out people who are shit talking women.
My issue with that though is like I don't really understand when people act as if the most important thing is anything Jesus said, and that's what we should focus on because that is such a small part of the Bible, which is supposed to be God's word. So I don't understand that.
Well, it's not a small part of the Bible, but I'll accept that as you saying, yeah, Jesus was respectful towards women. So then we could move on to other examples. There are definitely even New Testament examples. I'm just not sure what your case is. Even in the Old Testament, which is probably where you'll immediately jump to, but even those cases, it's not God being disrespectful. He didn't do anything to women or treat them more poorly than he treated men in the Old Testament.
I know we don't want to get into deep theological debate, but one thing that I take severe issue with is at the very beginning of the Bible and in the New Testament with stuff that Paul said, which is pretty popular to talk about when he tells women to be quiet and not speak over a man. But in Genesis, God quite literally uses sexism to punish Eve. And I have a problem with that.
I don't see that at all. He defines how life will be hard in different ways for men and women.
Yeah, so you agree that there was a punishment for what they had done, right?
I don't know that it's so much a punishment as it is a consequence of what they did, right?
So you think those things like magically,
God,
you think those
everything was fine and dandy.
So you think those things just magically like came about and God didn't have anything to do with it?
No, I think that once people committed one sin, it started spreading, right, to the other people. Adam and Eve's sins wasn't contained to them because they had children who then followed and did the same thing. And to some extent, right, all of this is genetic. Our desire for personal autonomy and to create our own rules and to do what we think is right is part of being human. I think that's more what the fall of man and Adam and Eve's sin is about.
I just don't understand that. I don't understand thinking that like it wasn't a punishment and instead those things just kind of happen. That doesn't not make sense to me at all.
Well, it also isn't the whole story about how the origination
way. It doesn't make anything about it sexist.
Well, yes, it does.
So, Jeremiah, I have a question
what is sexist about there being punishment or consequences for immoral behavior?
Hold on a second. So, what I am confused about when it comes to the story of Adam and Eve is we are told that God knows the trajectory of our lives. It's like God has a plan for us, that phrase. And I do believe that Christians believe that that is the case. And you hear it used mostly in like unfortunate circumstances. It's like, oh, I got into a car accident and it sucks and whatever. Oh, but I know God has a plan for me. Everything will work out. It'll be fine. So anyways, when I think about the story of Adam and Eve, I think about it from that lens in which God allegedly created these two people, and saw the trajectory of what the experience would be. He put someone like Eve onto earth, knowing she would take a bite from the apple and thus create original sin. Why he created all of it, so why create human beings that are flawed? Hold on, I'm not done with my question. Why create human beings that are flawed and will create the ultimate the ultimate, like, how do you even describe what that is? I mean, they create original sin, the ultimate consequence. Like, he didn't have to do that. He chose to do that, which is like a weird thing. Like, why create consequence to that degree for your little Sims if you knew that this was going to be the result?
Well, so I mean, it's kind of like I think the closest way that we could understand that would be kind of why do people decide to create more humans, like have children? Like they don't. It's not to create a little clone that they completely control, is it?
Right, but he's not just a parent, he is the creator of all things.
He's a perfect being.
Yes, and parents
entity.
are.
And he's creating.
Parents are creators.
They are, but he is creating. He is the
creators of a human being. I'm just saying, like.
But he is creating what human being.
Why would he do this?
But do you believe that
I'm
humans?
glad that I have agency.
But do you believe that humans are perfectly designed by God? Because then you can't have it both ways. And then we get into this conversation all the time.
Kind of like a little Sim. I think we're kind of like a little Sim City project for him, and I think he does like it, and I think it's going in like a cool direction that he thinks is cool. And there's tension, and there's evil.
I feel like that is sick.
And there are people who do good
things.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, like do you think?
Yeah, it is sick. It's awesome.
No, it's like disgusting.
One of the conversations that we have a lot with.
Have you never played SimCity?
I wasn't. They don't. Are you being for real? I don't even want to answer that. That's. What?
Have you ever played The Sims or SimCity or any of those like types of games?
Are those things?
Sims. I'm a Sims veteran.
Yeah, me
I've
too.
played The Sims since Sims 1. I've played every single version.
Sims aren't sentient. Sims can't feel pain.
Correct. What? It is just an analogy. But I think it's the closest we could get to understanding.
But it's like, no, you can't use that analogy because that's my whole point. Is that it's sick. Because these people are sentient and feel pain. That's my entire point.
Well, so in this example, you are like a Sim, and you are a Sim inside playing in this example, right? Humans, us, we're in the position of the Sim, and we're like, oh, what God's doing is fucked up. I disagree with it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that God is in control of all of it.
Right, so you're just telling us it doesn't matter if he's good. He's just powerful.
Well, it's inconsequential what you think is good. It's like what the Sims think are good, right? They're clearly
but the Sims are not
that created the entire environment.
I don't claim to love my Sims like they are my own children. If the game randomly corrupts and the whole thing deletes, like it doesn't matter. Like who cares? It's a game. Sure. God is supposed to be taking care of us.
You were the creator of, like, if you coded the Sims, right? That's more like God, but it's still even just an analogy. But it's like, it doesn't matter what the Sims think if they don't like the way the programmer coded it. Well, you fucking live there, and it doesn't matter what your opinion is.
I want to reconnect to why you called in, because you called in to talk about how God does
having rules.
No.
Hold on, Jeremiah, just one quick thing. You have to be, I know there's a delay. Be mindful of when you are interrupting to the best of your ability, because you've been doing that quite a bit. And I know there's a delay. Just be mindful. You called in because you wanted to talk about how God respects women because he created them for a purpose. So.
Correct. And you said that because of there was a difference in the consequence for men and women when we began sinning, that is sexist. And I don't see how consequences for sin are sexist in any way.
Okay, well, I'm going to
many examples where God himself was very supportive of women who were being degraded.
Right. I'm going to explain to you why it's sexist. Number one, Eve's punishments were gender specific. Adam's were not. Adam's were like, basically, you have to work hard. Women have to do that too. The punishments are gender specific, so like painful childbirth, but then he quite literally uses the oppression as women as a punishment when he says your husband shall rule over you. He literally lists it as a punishment with painful childbirth. And that is by definition sexist. When you are giving power to one sex over the other, that is sexism, and that is what he did.
Okay, so it was sex specific. Men toiling and laboring, when you think about the context of the Bible, and even today, that is the truth in terms of physical labor. Prior to the fall, all the food that they needed was provided. There's nothing.
Jeremiah, what's your?
Well, now food's not going to be provided. So
hold on.
Jeremiah, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Jeremiah, sorry, I'm muting you because you don't listen. And then I'll unmute you to answer this question. And I swear to your God that I don't believe in, if I unmute this and you're just in a stream of consciousness, I'm going to be so mad. Okay? I just wanted to ask you what you do for a living. Okay? Hold on. I'm unmuting you. It takes a second. Okay. You're unmuted. Jeremiah, what do you do for a living?
I'm a programmer.
Right. You just went on this whole big thing about how men have to be doing these like manual labor jobs, and that's their entire function in this world. Baby, you're a programmer.
Also, Jeremiah, it concerns me that you don't.
Programmers, you're aware of that, right?
Jeremiah, did you not hear that Taylor was talking? Did you hear her talking when you started talking? Answer honestly.
There was a pause, and I directly responded as soon as she finished saying that I'm a programmer and there are women who program.
Okay.
What is that? Okay.
My thing is, there has been so many women throughout history and current day that do a shit ton of physical labor. So I don't know what you're talking about. Did America not have slaves? And they were both men and women?
Yes, and the women slaves had a different role than, in fact,
wait. You don't wait.
The women
are you dead ass? You don't think they were doing physical labor? You don't think they were doing physical labor? Where did you learn that?
Do you understand how chattel slavery worked? How it was economical?
What does that mean? What are you saying?
That means that slaves had children, and those children still belong to the slave owner. So literally, women women were doing much different things than men in terms of.
So
slavery.
do you think they were
literally treated like cattle? It was chattel slavery, and they wanted to breed them.
So I want to know if you genuinely believe that female slaves just had babies. That was their job. They didn't do physical labor. They didn't
That was a huge component of chattel slavery, was forcing the women to have children that were also owned by the slaveholder.
What does that have to do with anything? Why are you saying that?
Because I brought up explicitly that the curse that you brought up that you say is sexist because men having to work wasn't a sexist thing, and women
because women have to work. Because women have to work. Because women are forced to work. It's not only in slavery, not only in things like slavery, but when they don't have a lot of resources.
That's not what
Jeremiah,
they do in society.
Do you also Jeremiah, are you married? Do you have children?
Yes, I have a kid and I'm married.
Okay. So do you honestly believe that being a mom is an easy job?
No, I never said it's an easy job, but it's
okay. So then when you're talking about
toiling and labor,
but when you're talking about your job I don't want to talk about toiling labor because you don't even do that. You don't do that. As a man of God, that's not what your role is. Jeremiah, hold on a second. Pause. I want to ask you again, and I want you to answer me honestly, okay? When you started talking just now, did you also hear my voice talking before you started talking?
I was just Yeah, and then I heard a pause. And I
Okay,
started
so
to
if you
respond,
no
and
no
then
no
you
no no
got
no,
upset
there
about
was
it.
no pause. There was what so that I could breathe. Jeremiah, if you are insisting on acting like a first grader, I will continue to treat you like a first grader. And every time you interrupt me, I'm going to pause you and ask you if you heard my voice at the same time that you started to start your sentence. Okay? Wonderful.
Understood.
Great. My question to you was we are not talking about anytime we have conversations about the difference in gender roles, the best that a misogynist can do is bring up things like construction because they can't figure out any other way to demonstrate that men and women both serve functions in this world that in many ways are equitable. Like there are many ways that women's contribution to society is the same, if not more, in some categories than that of men. So you telling me that you want to talk about women having a purpose and men having a purpose of toiling, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like that all men are carrying up single bricks like they did for the fucking pyramids. When you are a programmer, like, so you don't do that. So what are you talking about?
So why, and then on top of that, so
Well,
why should why should women still have to live under patriarchy then? If you're not having to deal with your gender specific punishment.
well, for starters, you brought up the curse. I didn't say that toiling is the purpose of life. So you misunderstood that. You brought up the curse, which we should probably read right now, because it's not sexist. It's just a description of how life is hard now that we don't have everything provided to us from God.
Yeah, and
And it
nobody
says
else.
this in Genesis 3, verse
I've read it.
17,
Do not
starting
read
in
it to
verse
me. Do
16.
not read it
To
to
the
me. I know
woman, he
exactly.
said, I will.
Jeremiah,
Okay,
stop.
you read.
Don't read it to me. I know what it says. This isn't Bible hour. I know what it says, and what I said about it is correctly what the punishments were. We know what the punishments were. You're just in denial that they're sexist. Sexism is about giving power or, better opportunities, privilege to somebody just because of their sex. And that's exactly what God did. And it doesn't make any sense to say, oh, that was just a result of sin. God didn't do that. Nobody else is there to do any of that. Where did that come from? You're acting like there's this like crazy invisible third party or some kind of power like making these things happen. That it doesn't make any sense.
I'm unmuting him. Hold on. Okay. You're unmuted.
You're saying I said a lot of things that I just never said. You brought up the specific scripture. You refused to let me cite it because you know it's not sexist.
What? What did I say that was wrong about
You brought up Genesis. You brought up this verse, Genesis 3:16 through 19, and now you refuse to let me read it, and you refuse to read it yourself. You assert that it's sexist, and that's ridiculous.
So what did I say wrong? I'll be waiting for that. What did I say wrong? What does it say in
There's
there? What did I get
absolutely
wrong?
nothing sexist in these verses.
Does it say that man or that your husband shall rule over you? Does it say that?
It does say that.
Does it say
Okay.
painful childbirth?
It does say that. Should we read
Yeah,
through
so that's what I
everything it
said.
says,
So
verse
that's
16 through
what
19,
I
since you're
said.
making claims?
That's what I said. That's so like
And then you said
insane.
there's nothing
That's so insane that you're like, that's so insane that you're essentially accusing me of stopping you from reading the Bible because I don't know what it
you want to
says.
read it or
And then
not?
you just,
Because you claimed that there
have
was
read it.
nothing
I
for
literally
men
had it.
specifically.
Jeremiah, I literally had it in front of me 2 minutes ago.
Why don't you read it? 16 through 19. There is a role
Because
for
we're
men,
not
and they
sitting
are
here
cursed,
reading the
just like
Bible.
men
That's
are
not what
cursed
we do on
today.
this show. I did
Also-
it. Everything I said was correct, so I don't know what your issue is.
Right. Why would we need to read it to just further prove what you just proved with Taylor, that what she was suggesting is in that passage? I'm
Because
confused.
what changes with you reading it? Like what makes it not sexist?
Okay, unmuting you. Hold on. Okay, you're
There's
unmuted.
a description of how life is different for men and women, and you say that's sexist. You refuse to even read the description of how life will be different for men and women. You just say, oh, well, since it says it will be different in different ways for men and women, therefore it's sexist.
So, Jeremiah,
hold
Jeremiah.
on. No, I'm not going to let you do that because that is a straw man argument you just created. You created a fake argument. I didn't say something was sexist because there was some kind of punishment or people have different roles, which, by the way, Christians say different roles when they want to talk about sexism. By definition, sexism is when you give someone more power or more privilege due to one or just because they're a certain sex. They get special privileges over another sex. That is the hold on, stop talking. That is the definition of sexism. So you can sit here and say it's not sexist, but it is by definition. You are just okay with it. And I wish you would just tell me you're okay with that, with sexism being used as a punish so we could move on.
So on your view, God is sexist because he didn't make women equally strong as men, right? And he didn't make
another straw man, another straw man, because you cannot address my argument for obvious reasons. So I'm like, you can keep saying I said this.
You just explained your definition of sexism, and I'm saying, so on your view, then God is sexist because
the sexist part,
different qualities.
Jeremiah, the sexist part is saying that men will rule over you, that they automatically rule over
men
you.
Men are stronger. You see it today.
Jeremiah, you work a programming job. In what way are you stronger than your wife who pushed out a fucking living human out of her body? You're stronger than her?
I toil more than her for sure.
You toil more than her when you code for your job every day?
Yeah,
what the fuck are you talking about? Were you there when she gave wait, were you I don't give a fuck. You're talking about toiling. You're talking about toiling. Do you know that giving birth is life-threatening? Like, that is a life-threatening, that's a high-risk state of a human being. So your wife and all women who have children do that. And you're telling me that because you click buttons on the computer that you click Jeremiah. Okay. I'm going to just, for 1 second, when you started talking just now. Hey, Jeremiah, when you started talking just now, did you hear me talking before you started talking?
Sorry, what was that? You're breaking up.
When you started talking, did you hear my voice talking?
No, you're still kind of breaking up, so it's probably just a bad line.
I don't believe that.
And then I start making my point, and you get
I don't
butthurt
believe
about
that. I don't believe that because you've interrupted us for 30 minutes. So I don't believe that. I think that's incredibly dishonest, and you're not able to be responsible for your own actions. And I think that that is not very toiling man of you, that you won't even just say, yes, I was interrupting you. Like, that's really silly. By the way, your wife has done an infinitely more difficult thing. I don't actually give a shit if you built your house by hand. I don't care, because that's not nearly as life-threatening as carrying and delivering a baby. Period. It's just not. So for you to come into this space, no, this is my show. I'll tell you when you can talk. Thank you so much. So when you come into this space and you want to talk about how God created women for a purpose, and the purpose is to, you didn't even tell us what the purpose of women was. You want to talk about what your purpose is as a man, and that is to allegedly toil. And then I would like to know what toiling is for you. So actually, that's a question I would like for you to answer. Please go ahead. What is this toiling that you do?
Okay, well, that's part of the verses that you brought up, which is Genesis 3:16 through 19.
Answer my question. What toiling do you do, Jeremiah?
That's what toiling is brought up. That's what you brought up. Toiling. That's
you
part of the
just told me that you toil. What toiling are you doing? You just said that.
To the woman, he said, "I will make your pains and
No, don't
childbearing
read the
very
Bible.
severe.
Don't
With
read the
painful
Bible.
labor,
That's
you
not
will
the
give
question
birth
I
to
asked
children.
you. You
Your
have
desire will
bad
be to
listening
your
skills. I'm dropping you. I'm done with this. You have shitty listening skills. You are rude to us over and over and over again. You are dishonest because I asked you if you were interrupting me and you refused to say that's the case. You act like a fucking child. Your wife is stronger than you and has done a much harder job than you have ever done. And I know that because when I asked you what toiling you experienced, you insisted on reading the fucking Bible. So I'm done. Do you have anything else to say, Taylor?
I just wish, and I've said this before, I wish they would skip to the step where they're like, yeah, I think sexism is okay and that's the way it should be. Because that's how this conversation went, where I pointed out something that is factually sexist, and then he says, well, that's the way God wants it, basically. So I'm like, okay, just say that you're like, I feel like I would respect it more if somebody was like, no, I think that we should be sexist. I think this is the way things should be. And this is why. Instead of saying, going through all of this trouble where you normally have to argue for like an hour, that it's not sexist, when in every single time I have this conversation with Christian men, at the end of the conversation, they always basically admit to me that they know it's sexist, but they're okay with it. And that's the way God wants it. So why can't we just talk about that?
Yeah, I agree.
Because it sounds bad, but they don't want to admit it.
I asked you a question.
No, but hold on a second. Sorry, I didn't mean to unmute you. Honestly, I didn't. I also am not like super interested in having a conversation with someone who doesn't have the manners of a first grader, but wants to tell me how he is, a respectful, toiling man or whatever. Like and you want to also tell me how your religion is not sexist, but you insist on talking over the two women who host the show every 5 seconds and then not be accountable when we ask you if that's what you did.
I also want to say something really quick. It is factual that in the Bible, God's punishments for each of them, only one is gendered because women I don't know, like it's hard for me to conceptualize that you don't realize that women do physical labor and have throughout history. Even when you brought up slaves being pregnant, did you know they had to still work? And on top of that, they were pregnant? Like that's crazy. So they are working even harder because they're carrying a whole ass human in them while having to do physical labor. My mind is blown that you think that is some kind of gendered thing, that was towards men, because there are so many instances of women having to do very hard physical labor, even outside of being enslaved. So it's crazy to me. It's like, makes me wonder what reality you're living in.
Jeremiah, you're still on. I mean, if you're muted, but you're still on the line as far as I can tell. I'm going to ask you a question, and I would really, really appreciate it if just this one time you would not talk over me whilst I ask you this question. Okay? Okay. I'm gonna unmute you now. Hang tight. Okay. Jeremiah, are you making this phone call from home?
Yeah.
Okay. Is your wife home?
Yeah.
Can you ask her, would she get on the phone and allow me to ask her a question? You could be there.
I'll see.
Okay. I'm curious.
You guys should really, while I'm going down here to ask her, you really should at least acknowledge that those two verses, one is addressed to Eve and one is addressed to Adam, and they are clearly gendered. It's not just that there's only one specific to women. Abby,
Okay.
do you want to talk to some liberal atheist women who think I'm an idiot sexist and don't believe I'm married with a son?
Oh, no, I didn't say that. I do believe you're married. I believe you're married and you have a son.
Okay, here she's on the phone.
Okay, wait. I never, ever, ever said that I thought he wasn't married, that he didn't have a son. I never called him an idiot. I never said any of those things. I am liberal and I am an atheist. The reason that I wanted to ask you a question, also, hi, I'm sorry. I just like started yapping right away. What I wanted,
Abby.
hi, Abby. Oh my God, my future sister-in-law's name is Abby, and she is like one of the best people in the whole world. So we're off to a great start.
Well, usually people tell me their dog's name is Abby, so that's better.
That's terrible. That's terrible. All right.
Not
so
what dogs, but it's a human name, not a dog name.
No, I know. It's sort of like there's actually a time and a place to make that's an inside thought that you know a dog named Abby. Not an outside thought.
We were talking about names at the beginning of this conversation.
Well,
yeah,
okay,
we were.
What's up? I argue with my husband too, but I don't always disagree with him. What's up?
Okay, so the question I wanted to ask you was, we were talking about like gender roles and the Bible and like how that all kind of plays out. And Jeremiah was saying that women are created for a purpose, and that in the Bible, men are meant to toil. And so I asked him, okay, great. What do you do for a living? And he said, programmer. And I said, so you think that your wife who carried a baby and birthed a baby didn't like toil for that, but you click-clacking on your computer, respectfully, because I click-clack on my computer for my job too. You think that that is more toiling than your wife who carried and delivered a child, and I'm sure raises this child. And he said that he also toils. So would you say that Jeremiah toils?
I guess I don't really understand the question.
Yeah, what's give her the context, the true context.
The context, I guess we were talking about the story of Adam and Eve and the consequence of original sin, and how the original sin, sort of like the punishment that is delivered to Adam and Eve, are based on their genders. And for Eve, those punishments include submitting to men and painful childbirth, I believe, among other things. And for men, one of those consequences is, if I'm getting this correctly,
like physical labor.
Is physical labor. So my question now is, you are a woman, and so you had a child, so you experienced the the consequence of original sin, which was the pain and frankly the danger, because childbirth can be really dangerous for some people. You experienced that, and Jeremiah believes that his toiling is still fulfilling the consequences of original sin. And I disagree, because I think that you actually are fulfilling the consequence of this original sin by having a very painful, life-creating but painful experience per God's request. And Jeremiah, I don't know that that is the case. So I wanted to ask your opinion, if you believe that his toiling feels like it is compatible to essentially to childbirth, because that was part of the consequence of original sin.
Well, I don't think anything is comparable to childbirth, but I also don't think childbirth is a punishment. It's a blessing. It's a cool thing that women can do. It's really powerful. Yeah, it's painful, but modern medicine takes away a lot of the pain. But I also think that, I would say that I don't adhere to standard gender roles at all times, but I don't think gender roles are a punishment. They're just kind of a natural consequence of our biology as well.
Okay. Well,
so
that's mostly...
I would say that my husband, you can see where a woman could say, yes, I suffer because I had to give birth and it was painful, but men also have the consequence in traditional gender roles of they're seen as the ones who, work to support a family. I guess that's what you're trying to get at. None of which I think is necessarily a punishment.
Right, right.
She brought up the curse, and she said the curse is sexist because well, women also have to toil and labor. And it's like, well, yeah, but men literally still, even to this day, in terms of like doing hard labor, backbreaking shit is like 99.9% men.
Well, men are more capable of doing that.
I brought up to her, even programmers. Yeah, it is toil. It's hard shit. I hate doing it. It hurts my brain, and I'm not even good at it. Like, but it is toil, and it is mostly men who do it.
But especially
men who do that type of work.
But when you're putting that up against like childbirth, like you understand how that feels.
There's different toils. I'm not saying one. But it's not like a competition of who toils the hardest.
Jeremiah,
my question for you though, so are you saying you think women have it harder than men, like biblically? Like you think God punished us to like have it harder than men?
She's saying God is sexist.
Jeremiah, let me say my argument. I was saying that it bothers me that these consequences to them eating the fruit, it feels pretty direct to me that the two punishments he lists, or whatever you want to say they are, only God could have created these circumstances, so I'm not sure who is doing it if God isn't. But beyond that, her two punishment were sex specific. So painful childbirth and then husbands ruling over wives. That's sex specific, saying because someone has a different sex than you, they should have power over you, which is the definition of sexism. And Adam's punishment was about
they should, it's as they will.
Jeremiah, are you gonna just let me finish? Let me get the whole thought out.
It's not saying that men should rule over women.
Jeremiah, hold on, Jeremiah and Abby. I'm just gonna let you know I've had to have this exact conversation with Jeremiah at least 3 times. Jeremiah, when you started talking, was Taylor also talking?
It keeps breaking up. What did you say?
I don't believe it is, because the only time you tell me that we're breaking up is when I ask you if you were interrupting, and I think that is very interesting. In any case, Taylor, please continue. I would like to hear the rest of your thought.
I feel like now he's changing the goalpost, but my second part was that Adam's consequence wasn't gender specific, because all throughout history, enslaved people, whatever, so many women have had to do very hard physical labor, even their whole lives. So that doesn't make sense to me to say, well, yeah, see, look, the men are being punished in a gender specific way. I just don't see that.
Well, I guess I would also ask, okay, so Eve was the first woman. There were no instances of childbirth before that. We don't know that childbirth wouldn't, I doubt childbirth would ever be completely unpainful. And have you, like, this is not to be demeaning. Do you have a kid?
No.
No, girl, I'm scared.
Like, I honestly don't think it was that bad. And it was terrible, but like, you kind of forget it instantly. Like, I feel like once you're like holding a baby, you're not like, wow, that was so painful. It's just kind of like, that happened. So I don't know. Like,
women die, and they died way
something
more.
From the Bible sexist, but I don't think God is sexist, because God, it's like, this is me being a Christian right now, but God's perfect. Like, he doesn't do things to be unjust. He does things for a reason that maybe we don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, to say that God is sexist, I think is very misguided. I think humans can be sexist, but God's not sexist.
First, I want to say that women literally died during childbirth, and it was a lot worse. It's a lot worse in countries that don't have resources, and then throughout history. And on top of that, I don't understand how both of you can say it's not a curse whenever it says, because you have done this, cursed you are above cattle, and then it goes on. So like, it doesn't really make sense to me if it wasn't a curse and women had always had painful childbirth, that all of a sudden, a consequence, this is what he's having happen now that they sinned. He's doing that. He is choosing for it to be that way.
So hold on. So yes, it is a curse. You're 100% correct that it is a curse. Now, the curse is that everything is no longer provided by God as it was in the Garden of Eden, where they ate from any of the fruit of all of the trees that they wanted, and there was it was completely perfect. So the curse is that that's no longer available. the pre-existing difference between the sexes existed. It's not like women became weaker physically than men because
Jeremiah,
of
really
the
quick.
curse.
I need you to answer this directly because it's been this whole conversation. Who created the pre-existing reality before the garden that God created?
God. God created everything.
Thank you. That's my entire point. Like, you got there.
Like,
it took forever.
God is sexist because men and women are different.
You keep building up the straw man that I did not make that argument that he's sexist because they're different. That's never been my argument, and I think you know that. That's dishonest.
Okay, but the curse affected men and women differently because the curse was that everything was no longer provided by God. So men had to toil to work to get food, to hunt and gather, to farm.
And so did women.
And women
Had to reproduce
in order to sustain society.
And women had to do physical labor too.
Yeah, it's not saying women won't have to toil, but just like you said, like back in that day, that was the primary thing they did, and it was a lot worse. And the primary thing men did was toil, and it was a lot more physical toil.
I actually don't think that's the case, especially with people who didn't have a lot of money. I know for a fact that people that didn't have a lot of money, the wives were out there helping on the farm as well. So I just don't know where you get this idea. Like, there could be.
They didn't help, but it's just like, if you're looking at men and women working side by side, the person toiling hardest and getting the most work done is the man.
Okay, so what about women who do it pregnant?
They do, but like you said, back in the day, pregnancy was even worse. And the toil of labor, of literally bearing a child was worse. Just like today, right? For men, the toil is not necessarily physical labor, but it is rigorous and exhausting. And it is those fields that are rigorous and exhausting like that are dominated by men.
But
it has changed lately, but it's not like God was like, okay, now women, you're weaker, and men will. It's saying no, like there's.
But he created everything.
I literally never made.
I also hold on,
Jeremiah, why are you making arguments that I said like God is sexist because he made women weaker? That never left my mouth. Why are you keep making up arguments? It's annoying.
Because the curse affecting men and women differently is a result of men and women being different.
But he created that. One of the things that I think is interesting too is we say that childbirth is, would have been painful anyway, but if God created us and he created, the width of our hips and the size of our uterus and the size of the vaginal canal, so there was possibility for that to not be painful. And there are other things that human beings do that, I guess, hypothetically could have been painful. Like eating or drinking water, hypothetically could have been painful if the neurotransmitters were placed in a different way, but it's not painful. And so childbirth is painful because our bodies are not really super well designed to do that. And that, if you're going with the biblical perspective, Jeremiah, are you talking? I'm sorry, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, was I talking in those days? Jeremiah, was I talking when you started talking?
Hello?
Are you honestly telling me that? Oh my God. Okay. We've been on this call for 47 minutes and I'm really kind of annoyed that you keep doing that, where you talk over us and then you insist that it broke up, and I just don't believe that that's the case. If you want to call back another time, you can. I would like to get to some other calls. We only have an hour left, and this is getting to be a little frustrating. And I hear a very sweet baby in the room, and I think that is probably a more fun thing for you. But in any case,
that's Elias Gabriel. Have a good night. Bye.
But wait, bye. Say bye to Abby. Bye, Abby. Okay, he hung up. Whatever. That was crazy. First of all,
oh my gosh, my mic wasn't on again. Damn.
Abby, it sounds infinitely smarter than Jeremiah.
I agree. And also, I cannot believe for I don't know how many minutes he argued that it wasn't a curse, and then he randomly decides at one point, yeah, it's a curse. I'm like,
I know.
what?
It just doesn't make any
It's
sense.
really frustrating when I feel like they don't know what they believe, but they like are arguing what the Dunning. They're like, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they don't even really know what they're arguing, but they're like so passionate about that thing.
Yeah.
And then later on, they go back on it, and I'm like, wait a minute. So why did you just argue so hard saying that it wasn't a punishment or a curse? I don't understand.
Right. Yeah, I know. I know. It's with people like Jeremiah, really like the name of the game is to, and like if he ever calls to this show again, this will be my plan of action. The name of the game, I think, with people like him is to keep him super, super hyper focused on one thing and like not allow him to move past that, because
that's the most frustrating part is I kept trying to bring him back to things because he would say, so you're saying, and then he would say an argument that I don't even know what he's talking about and I didn't make. And it's so annoying when somebody keeps creating a straw man argument, because I never said God was sexist because people are like sexes are different. I never said that. And he just kept going back to that. And even if, you know, the thought of women being weaker than men or whatever he said, does that mean that men have to roll over women? That like he was pretending like those things equal each other, and that doesn't make sense. If that were the case, then only the most physically strong people would be in charge, and that doesn't happen. So yeah, it's just ridiculous.
I know. And again, it like the irony of him saying that men have to toil when he's a programmer, which like I'm sure is a challenging job, but like to put that up against the curse of women, which is childbirth and having to submit, feels really crazy.
I also, sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say, I think Abby said to pin it up against childbirth is like, doesn't, like, you can't do that. But that's what the Bible does in that story, is it compares the two of them as if they are equal. And so, you know, we're not the ones who are pinning them up against each other. That's just like literally what is in the text.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. That was a train wreck.
Yeah, that was crazy. I appreciate Abby coming on, though. I really didn't think she would. And I would honestly, I would love if like Abby called in and would talk to us, because she seemed way more polite.
Yeah, I agree.
So in the event that Abby or Jeremiah are listening to this, have Abby call in. I would love to know her thoughts, especially because she has had a baby. And anyway.
And maybe she won't interrupt as much.
Yeah, that was crazy. And every single time he's like, what? What, you broke up? Come on. Be serious.
It was dishonest.
It was so dishonest. Anyway, we do have some other theists in the chat, or in the queue. So do you want to look them over? I'm gonna go through our show our shows for next week. So all right, y'all. After this show, there will be Calling It Now with Ari and Jimmy at 8:30 Central. All of these will be in Central Time. I'm gonna just say that ahead of time. On Wednesday, sorry, we just got a very funny message in our chat. That's very funny. On Wednesday, tomorrow, The Hang Up at 6 p.m. with Matt Dillahunty and John Gleason. Thursday, TACIS with Luxander and maybe just Luxander. We'll see. And Calling It
guest,
Now,
Mama Mephistopheles.
Oh, okay.
Or
That
Mama
sounds
Methy.
fun.
She's a TikTok person.
Mama Methy is hilarious. That's me on my Adderall, Mama Methy. Calling It Now on Thursday will be with Jovan and Luxander. You guys are all free as a bird on Friday. Saturday, The Evangelicals at 5 p.m. with Dalton and Thinker. Sunday, the Sunday show at 1 p.m. with Matt and Owen. The Sunday show after dark. Oh my God, hello. After Dark with Forrest and Austin. And then Calling It Now at 4 p.m. Oh, sorry, I said that sort of out of order. 4 p.m. in the middle of those two Sunday shows with Jimmy and Jovan. And then we circle back to Monday, Skeptalk at 6 p.m. with Blitz PhD and Forrest. And then you have Chewed Gum with myself. And I think, are you here next week? You're not here?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's us two again next week. So maybe we'll have Abby call.
Hopefully.
I would really love that, but we'll see. I'm mad that he didn't let us say bye to her and say thanks because I appreciated her coming on.
You rushed out of there real quick.
I know, so rude. Anyways, do you have any preference of which theist you would like to take next? Oh, they're both 21. That's funny.
Maybe 7.
Okay, yeah, it's maybe slightly different conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Sorry, I thought Bonnie was limping. I gotta tell you, if you've ever had an old dog, every fucking day it's something with this dog. Every day. Yesterday, she is limping. Why? Probably her arthritis. I'll give her pain just in a little bit. I know. She's like, yesterday or the day before, I came home and one side of her snout was swollen. And I was like, what the fuck is this now? And it turns out that the tooth in that area is abscessed, so it's like there's like a infected little pocket.
Yeah.
So now I have to have that tooth maybe removed and sewn up. I think it's just gonna fall out, and hopefully in between now, her antibiotic, her blood test, and when we would have to schedule, I'm hoping it just falls out and they can just sew it out so they don't have to like do all that shit. But anyway, I'm really getting in the weeds of my dog's procedures.
No, but it's funny because that problem I think spans across most animals because my one guinea pig died. She was older, but she had like big tumors, but I just had an abscess type thing removed from one of my other guinea pigs. So yeah, I think, and it apparently happens more in female animals, I think, a lot of the time. But
really?
Yeah, that's what I've been told. But I don't know that for every single species.
My little lady. My old woman. Okay. All right. So we said we want to take 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna get myself, me and Bonnie situated over here. All right. Okay, I'm gonna pull in Ink, who is calling from Brazil. Hello, Ink. Oh.
Oh shit! Hi. Sorry, I was playing.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Oh, there's some weird. There's a weird like humming sound. There's a weird like humming sound in the background. Do you know what that is? Oh no. Something was happening. Maybe he'll call back. If he hears this,
is he gone?
Yeah, his call dropped. If you hear this, call back and we'll scoot you on as quickly as we can.
It literally sounded like he was on a train.
Or like
something.
Or a plane.
Yeah, or a plane.
He said he was playing a game, so maybe it was his audio from a video game that's not pausable. I'm like, why didn't you just whatever, I don't care.
Okay. Okay. Well, Ink, if you hear this, your call dropped. So anyways. Cody, who is calling from Wisconsin, also a theist and also 21 years old. Hello, Cody.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Going good.
Good, wonderful. What did you want to talk about today?
Well, theology, I guess, the main points we were talking about, and then I actually did want to discuss gender, but I think the person screening told me that that's reserved for Thursday. And then I don't know, I'm not familiar with the show, so I don't know if you guys also talk about abortion, but I also like talking about abortion. So those are the topics.
Abortion is a conversation that we have all the time. And you know what's so funny, Cody? And I'm not saying this to be antagonistic. I've only ever had, this is just the truth, I've only ever had conversations on this show about abortion from men who call in. And I think that's so interesting. Yeah. Like women never call, like we have women who call in, but the people who call in who talk to like debate about abortion are never women. They're only ever men. And I think it's just so interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think maybe it could be due to the fact that I don't know if this is empirically true, but I've heard Jordan Peterson, which is not the best source, but I've heard him say something like women like people more than things, and men like things more than people. So maybe due to the nature of like ethics and how it relates to like analytic philosophy, maybe that's why like men maybe like study more. I don't know. Maybe like they want to study more theories of personhood and how that relates to abortion. So maybe it's just like an analytic thing, and men are just have a disposition to study that more than women. Maybe, I don't know.
Honestly, Cody, you're giving our callers far too much credit. They are not doing it. They are not doing that work. I wish that they were. Those are not the people who are calling with typically with that conversation. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think that generally speaking, when people have personal experiences, they relate to them very differently than they do in an analytical way. So for a woman who is capable, or for most women who are capable of carrying and delivering a child, and they have the risk of getting pregnant, and the like potential of having to terminate a pregnancy is something that affects their physical body, their relation to that topic completely changes because now it's their life on the line. And so it's a very different conversation for a man to call and say, I think it's wrong. Okay, well, like, it's not your life on the line. Should we need to have this procedure done?
Also, I think I think there are more religious men also. Well, we know that there are. And I think they're already used to being in the position of like, or even the possibility of them preaching to others and stuff like that. So it makes sense to me why Christian men would call in about abortion versus Christian women.
Yeah, that follows. The religious point is good, I think. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what about abortion did you want to share with us today?
Well, I guess we could start off with, I think that abortion, just the way that I'm defining it, intentionally takes the life of an innocent living human. So I think that like at its face, that's going to be like just at its face wrong. I'm not saying that that's always wrong, because we could get into things like partial molar pregnancies, which are technically also innocent living humans in my view. But then I could try to explain symmetry breakers. But that's like one starting reason.
So I have two things that I want to touch on here. One is I think it's interesting that when you're bringing this topic to us, you're using very technical terms, and I think that's an interesting thing to note on, because if someone was if they were required to understand the technical medical terms that you are describing, then the general layman is not going to be able. I would not feel comfortable with the general public making a decision, keeping in mind the types of pregnancies that you are sharing. So you have obviously done some extra Googles and such about this. And so you have all these different types of pregnancies and stuff that you have looked into. If that is required to be able to have nuance in this conversation, then I would rather a doctor. I'd rather not leave that to the general public, and I would rather have somebody who is actually a professional and has dedicated their life and their career to those terms and those conditions. So that's one thing, and I'm going to give you 2 points, honestly, because I will forget them. So I'm sorry that I'm giving you two at once. The other one is, oh God, did I already forget it? Oh no, okay, no. This is sort of my big overarching point especially when men call about abortion. So the big thing is, I don't have a problem in like a legal sense. I can maybe have a problem personally, but I don't have a problem with you advocating for people keeping a pregnancy and not aborting a fetus. If that's what you want to do, it's your right in this country. You are absolutely welcome to do that. And I can't really stop you from doing that. What I think is where we cross a line is when that service is not available to people on a medical level, like on a healthcare level, that is not available to people. And so you have women who I personally, I believe that abortions should be available to people if they just don't want to have the child. But I understand that's not your position, but I want to get you on board with how making abortion illegal, making abortion something that requires qualifiers, makes it dangerous for all pregnant women, even for people who wanted to keep that pregnancy. So there's a woman who's going viral right now. I wish I could remember what state she was in. I want to say she's in Florida. I can't say for sure. She is in a state that has restrictions around abortion care. So she is actually able legally to get an abortion in that state, but it's heavily restricted. So she wanted to have this child. The child died in her womb, and she has to go for a minimum of 3 ultrasounds, which is not only traumatic and upsetting for her, but she also is risking sepsis because she has a dead fetus in her body. And so every day that she has to continue to carry this dead fetus in her body, she risks sepsis. So when you look at like what the purpose is of keeping abortion legal, I'm fine with you having a moral objection and you holding firm on that moral objection and taking action independently, but it has to be legal because you are risking the lives of mothers that could potentially have more children under other circumstances. And then we are giving more legal right to a fetus that cannot survive outside of the mother's body,
or a dead fetus.
Right, or a dead fetus, then to the person who is carrying the child. And that doesn't make sense. I know I just gave you a lot, and I'm sorry about that.
That's fine. I actually briefly wrote worded notes, so I'm going to try to respond to everything. So number one, you said you think that doctors should be the ones that kind of have the biggest say or kind of control the directive of how this goes with abortion. One objection that I'm going to have with that is that doctors, they study empirical things. They study descriptive claims, right? But as we know, right, at least as I would hope we know, you cannot derive moral claims merely from like empirical claims or merely from descriptive claims, because moral claims inherently involve a should or an ought, right? That's what morality is, the study of what we ought do or what should be the case or what's good and bad. So that's one issue.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but the point of and I know you're going like based on how you wrote the notes, but the purpose of the second point is I am fine with people having a moral disagreement, and I think that they're really it ends up being circular, and like we talk about the same things over and over again when we talk about the morality of it, because I think it's one of those things where we will agree to disagree, especially when you are a theist, because there is a religious tie and context that you're taking to this that I'm not, and that's your right to believe.
I have a secular argument for pro-life. I just want to make that clear.
So in any case, you can have the moral argument that you want to have. My point is that you're right. These doctors will do this based on empirical evidence, which is why I want them involved in the decision making and not a person who's going to do it from a moral stance. Because if the goal is to keep as many people alive as possible, there is evidence that shows that there are not fewer abortions when abortions are illegal. There are just fewer safe abortions. So if the goal is to keep people alive and you care about all people equally, then you need to keep them legally available to people. And if you say that you don't want that to be the case, then it just feels like you're punishing a woman for getting pregnant. And that's a different conversation.
I also want to add, Cody, that I think you would look at it differently if it was a different religion's morality being pushed onto. Because imagine if Jehovah's Witnesses passed a law that you can't get blood transfusions because they think it's sinful and it's wrong, and all of a sudden these doctors are adopting or, you know, going by this morality, and they're not saving people's lives because the Jehovah's Witnesses decided that the blood transfusions are not moral. Would you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. And I want to respond to your prior points, and then I'll respond to that if that's okay, because I actually do have some objections here. So number one, in my ideal worldview, I would say, like, you know, people can have access to ectopic pregnancy care, you know, the partial molar pregnancies, like, you know, I know that there's certain cases of cancer in which I think that it needs to be like terminated because of the scanning and whatnot that's going to be done. So, okay, so in my ideal worldview, I advocate for those exceptions along with a SA exception. And the second point I want to make is, you guys are saying that it's okay for me to have my like moral stance, but I should not like impose it on others in the same way that a Jehovah's Witness should not impose their views upon me. Now, my answer to the Jehovah's Witnesses, I would say, if they do have a like logically valid argument, or I should say a sound argument, if they have a sound argument as to why they are going to impede me from doing blood transfusions, then yes, I actually would be okay. The issue is that I don't think that Jehovah's Witnesses do. Usually it's going to stem back to the religion, and then they're not going to have a justification for their religion. So then, hence, when they try to impose that, they're imposing something that they can't like justify in a sense. But for me, with my pro-life view, I feel like the symmetry breaker is that I can like justify each of the claims that it rests on. So I could like sort of like pin down maybe like well, I mean, okay, yeah. So like I could like have like a secular worldview, and I could just give like a list of reasons that would justify me imposing my rights upon others in the same way that both of you would impose your beliefs upon other religious or secular people. Like, I'm sure you guys, if you guys saw a man in a park kicking a dog in the face, and he says, "I'm sorry, I don't believe in animal rights. We can agree to disagree, but don't impose your beliefs on me." You'd be like, "No, screw you. I'm going to impose my animal rights beliefs on you. You can't kick the dog in the face," right?
Yeah, but an animal that lives out in the world is experiencing pain and suffering, and at the time where 99% of abortions are happening, the fetus does not. And that's an important thing. And it's also a relationship between the mother and the baby where the baby needs the mother to exist. So her needs should be considered and should be, in my opinion, prioritized. When you're looking at a dog and a human, that is not a relationship in which they depend on each other. And this dog is a living, breathing thing that exists with that, whether that human is there or not. So I don't think those are comparable.
I have two objections. So the two objections I'll give is, number one, you mentioned about existing out in the world and experiencing pain. I think that we have a clear counterexample as to even if the fetus was inside of the mother and, you know, like wasn't currently experiencing, you would still dictate what mothers can and can't do with their body. For example, let's say that a mother wanted to take a bunch of schmeroin during her pregnancy at around 19 weeks during pregnancy. You'd probably say that that should be illegal, right? Assuming that she doesn't, well, I mean, even at that point, if you want to get an abortion, it'd be so late in, yeah. You'd probably want to stop her from doing that, right? Even though the fetus is inside of her and relying on her body.
Yeah, but that's...
I think it would only be an issue if you're planning on bringing like life into this world, like you're planning on going through the whole entire pregnancy. If not,
okay, so it'd be an issue if you're planning on bringing them into the world. Yeah. So now you're talking about its future, right? The fetus's future.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So it seems like the fetus's future in this case, you're saying, although it's inside the mother and it depends on her bodily resources, right? Because at 19 weeks, still not viable. Earliest viability we've seen is like 21 weeks and 6 days or whatever. It seems like you would still want to grant some rights to that fetus at like 19 weeks, right?
The only reason we're doing that is because we know that the plan is to bring the fetus to term, and that will cause it could cause a lifetime of pain.
And
The consequences are different.
Also, Cody, I also, even in this argument, you're talking about a person doing an illegal substance. That's we know that's
not in all states.
Sorry, it's not a what?
I don't think it's illegal in all states, but I mean, I could stipulate it. It's in a country or a place where it's legal, just for sake of hypothetical. But continue. Sorry.
I can't imagine. Is that
no? No. He said marijuana. I don't know if you heard something else.
No. I did say smear. I said, sorry, I censored my language because I wasn't sure if I could say the word. But I'm speaking about the one that starts with an H and ends in heroin.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on the show, but
yeah, I actually don't know either. But yeah, I would imagine that is illegal in all states. Actually, yeah, I'm getting confirmation that it is illegal in all states.
Okay. I'll stipulate that this occurs in a country where heroin consumption is legal. So then move the hypothetical there.
But I think that's not, I don't think I can agree to that, because the reason why heroin is illegal is because it's a harmful substance, and it will harm anybody who takes it in. It will be harmed by it. So I think that's an important thing that we can't really disregard. But I think Cody, ultimately, where we're going to disagree is you want to include the morality into the legal system in a way that puts the lives of women at risk. Living women who have careers and families and have been on this earth for at least, hopefully 2 decades or something. Like, they have been around and have built a life. And you're by having abortions be illegal, you are putting those lives in danger. And when you talk about having these exceptions, ultimately what it feels like is you just don't trust the decision making of women, and you trust the lawmakers to put enough stipulations in there to create a system that works, when in reality we could just trust the women. And I think that there is a very common misconception that people are having abortions like willy-nilly, like they just, it's like, well, I got pregnant again, might as well get it aborted. And that's just like not the reality of the situation. So the conversation that you're having about where you want to bring morality into this is one that, like, I don't really have that much interest in discussing with you, because I don't really care what your moral perspective is on it, because my goal is to keep as many people alive as possible. And if you are pro-life and you want to keep as many people alive as possible, you have to allow for safe medical abortions to be available to people. Because we know that there are we know for a fact there are not fewer abortions when abortion is illegal. So you're not saving any babies.
Number one. Of course, like, maybe you could point to past instances in which we made abortion illegal and abortion rates didn't go down. But I could say counterfactually, if they would have made abortions illegal and added a severe penalty for getting abortions, like we add a law that says if you're caught getting an abortion, you need a $5,000 fine to the charity of my choice, then I think that maybe abortion rates would have gone down. So that's one thing to consider.
Cody, you really think that at any point in time, if they were going to fine women for having an abortion, it would go to a charity? Please.
That's what I'm kind of a utilitarian. I'm saying that's what I would advocate for. I don't think the United States would.
But realistically, that would never happen. That would never happen. And so,
well, don't say it never would. We can't make that claim. Say it's improbable, but
a lot of people get abortions because they cannot support a child. So how would that work? That doesn't make any sense.
I guess number one, for the ones that can support a child, which is at least some of them. I mean, it would work. And then for the ones that don't, I mean, maybe you could like make it a debt or something that they have to pay over time. Or maybe actually they could just do maybe community service. Like they could just like have to volunteer. You could use the labor.
But you understand how?
Have another objection,
but
though,
do you
to prior
understand?
points.
But I want to stay on this point for a second. You understand how demeaning it is that, like, as a grown woman, if I accidentally get pregnant, because I also think it's important to acknowledge that birth control fails. I'm in a loving relationship. I am married. Technically, on paper, I could take care of a child, but financially it would put us in a really tough spot. That kid is not going to have the life that I would want it to have if I were to plan out this pregnancy. If my birth control fails and I get pregnant, and I decide this is not a pregnancy that I want to keep. I'm within the range where I can just take the Plan C pill and end the pregnancy. I will be fined for doing that. Like, I'm a grown woman and I'm making a responsible choice for my life. It makes me feel like I'm being punished, like I'm a child and I'm not responsible for my own choices. And that's like just really demeaning and like offensive to me. Like, respectfully, Cody, I'm about to be 33 years old and you at 21, not to say that like you don't know things at 21, but you understand how that would feel to me to have someone who has, you know, over a decade less of life experience tell me what I should do with my body because you know my situation well enough that you can morally object to what is the right thing to do for me. And by the way, the right thing to do for this potential child. Like, you understand how demeaning that feels.
Okay, so to respond to a couple points, number one, do I understand how demeaning it is? I mean, I can't put myself exactly in your shoes. I mean, I'll take your word for it. But second of all, I would think that you also even impose.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, can I just respond to the points real quick? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, sorry.
Listen, I think that you would also impose your beliefs about what I could do with my body. Like, certainly imagine that we were back in a C-19 era. And imagine that C-19 came back and it was even more aggressive. And I wanted to go like to the city council meeting. You'd probably tell me to wear a mask, and I could sit there and say, like, how are you to tell me that I can't do what I want with my body?
But that was not a legal requirement. No one was going to put you in jail if you didn't wear a mask. It was strongly encouraged to protect yourself, by the way, to also protect you, but to protect the people around you. So if you wanted to contribute to the greater good of the people around you, then you would wear a mask. However, it was not. You were not going to be put in jail. You were not going to be fined, and whether that fine was going to a charity or not, you were not going to be fined for that. And that's an important distinction to make. I don't have an interest in policing your body. You have an interest in policing mine, and I'm trying to explain to you that that is a boundary that I am not okay with. Like, it is so invasive to me to have a person who lives in Wisconsin who's making decisions about what I am going to do with my body, my life, and my future. Like, how is that fair?
Okay.
You have no idea what health conditions I have. You have no idea what even baseline, like, mental health things that maybe I don't want to pass down to a child. I could be a perfectly healthy mother, but what if I know that I'm going to struggle with depression my entire life as a mother, and the life of this child is going to be an uphill battle every single step of the way? But I have to do that because Cody, 21 in Wisconsin, thinks that it's my moral obligation. Like, that's really unfair.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I have like a couple of responses to that. So number one, in the case of C-19, I specifically added the stipulation in that sort of like hypothetical that C-19 comes back and it's a lot stronger. Because imagine if the transmission rates were just to the point where like me not wearing a mask would like almost, like, let's just even say it would probably contaminate somebody. I think that we would make it illegal to not wear a mask. We would say, nope, sorry, like, you have to wear a mask because you're literally going to almost hit.
Well, but
so
that is,
you probably would advocate for.
But now you're talking about, again, you are impeding on the free will of the people around you and taking the life of a person around you that lives in the outside world that again has a life and a family and commitments and relationships.
Also, wearing a mask doesn't physically harm you at all. You have no risk. It's not hurting you.
Technically not true. Technically not true.
Give me a break. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. It isn't.
Oh, okay, sure. So you are right. That's not going to take my life. But okay, so I still have a couple objections here with the whole you could lose your life sort of objection. And so this is a point that I've been wanting to make for a while. So just let me get it out real quick. So
Sure.
You guys are kind of like opposed to the idea of telling what other people are going to do with their body, especially when that thing that involves their body could take their life. So let's just imagine a hypothetical scenario. I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but imagine a hypothetical scenario where there's a mother in a third world country and like the baby that she has like F5 or has some sort of like allergy to baby formula. So basically the way that this newborn needs to stay alive. And unfortunately, maybe she's like the only woman in the tribe or like the other women are not like lactating or whatever. So the newborn needs her breast milk to survive. And obviously like if it needs her breast milk to survive, there's like, there's going to be some injury to her giving like to her lactating. She could get an infection and that infection could then take her life. There's at least some small chance of that. So I'm wondering if you would advocate, or if you would think that it would be morally permissible for the mother to just let her kids starve, or would you force her and say, no, you do have to breastfeed in this hypothetical?
Well, the whole reason everything about that would change is because they have personhood and they're sentient. They're a sentient being.
Okay, personhood. All right. Thought we would arrive here at some point.
Well, 99% or 98% of abortions are done before the fetus is able to be sentient. So I don't. Yep. That's why that doesn't work to me.
That's true. Well, not so fast. we still have an injected sort of presupposition in there that the fetus prior to sentience is not a person. There are views in philosophy that would say that fetus is a person even without consciousness. Number one, like you could have.
Great, but that's not medical.
But I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't care that there's a philosopher who thinks that baby has personhood because it could not survive outside of the mother. Once the baby is born, there are many ways that baby could survive. The mom itself, by the way, doesn't have to breastfeed. There are other options if they can't do formula. There are, by the way, forms of formula that are hypoallergenic. There are also wet nurses. Like that's something that's been around forever. There are people who can lactate and donate their milk because they have more than they need. So it's just it's not as linear. It's not as linear. But it's not as linear as you're making it. And again, I am not. So Cody, my question to you is the purpose of you wanting to make abortion not accessible to women, is the purpose to save lives?
Is the purpose to save lives?
Yeah, is it to preserve life?
I'm almost actually inclined to saying that's actually to reduce harm, but I mean, sure, we could go with saving lives. That's fine.
Okay, so if I'm telling you that there are not fewer abortions when abortion is illegal, there are just fewer safe ones. And on top of that, you have people like this woman who, I wish I could remember her name, is going viral on TikTok because she has a dead fetus in her body and she has to wait until a doctor 3 times over confirms that the baby is dead, and she's risking sepsis every single day that she waits to have this fetus removed.
I'm pretty sure it's at like 5 weeks. Like she has to wait like up to 5 weeks now or something like that.
So she's risking her life. So I am telling you for a fact that if the goal is harm reduction, if the goal is to preserve life, the way you do that, I know it's counterintuitive, but I'm telling you, based on the truth, grounded in the truth of what happens in this country, you need to keep that service available to people. And what I will say to you too is in my ideal world, what we would do is abortion would be readily available to people, but we also would have comprehensive, medically accurate sex education that is done from in this country. There are the ages at which people lose their virginity are as low as 12 and 13. So we need to start providing sex education as young as 12 and 13 years old, and it needs to be required in schools because we see a very, very, very direct result. And it's actually kind of spooky if you look at the map of states in the United States that provide comprehensive, medically accurate sex education, and other states who teach abstinence. The states that teach abstinence have more teenage pregnancies, and they have sex younger, and they have more partners over their lifetime. If you teach abstinence, if you are teaching people how to have safe sex from an age that is appropriate, we know for a fact, which in this country, believe it or not, is as young as 12. If you are able to provide them with that education, we have evidence that shows they have fewer partners, they have sex for the first time later in life, and they drastically reduce the risk of teenage pregnancy and drastically reduce the risk of STIs. So it's a win across the board. Okay. And so many times I promise I'm almost done. The people who are vehemently against sex education being provided in schools as young as middle school, like at 12 years old, you're like barely in 8th grade. That group of people is oftentimes the same group of people who want abortions want abortions to be illegal. So now we're in a situation where you're not giving people education. You're leaving them to their own devices. And then when they get pregnant, you say, well, that's your fault. And you are just going to have to risk it for the biscuit. And that's sort of what it is. And that again, it's, you don't trust the decision making of women, and you are putting them in a position where you're essentially punishing them. And that's not appropriate. And I don't believe that is moral.
Okay. So I have two main points of contention here. Number one, when you're citing that if you really want to lower the amount of abortions, then you don't actually have to outlaw it, because, outlawing abortion just makes them unsafe. It doesn't remove them. I hear this all the time. Now, the reason that I don't think that this necessarily works is because you're just citing past times that this country or that other countries have made abortion illegal. And you're saying, oh, look, past times that we did this, it didn't work. But it doesn't follow that, therefore, in the future, if we don't do it in a different way, that might actually reduce the amount of abortions. In the same way that you'll hear many socialists or communists say, yes, although we have tried communism or socialism in the past and it may have ended really badly, that wasn't like quote unquote real communism. If we were to do it in a different way, it could actually be successful. So I'm just going to kind of invoke the same thing here briefly. Can I just finish the point real quick though? Because you guys spoke for like several minutes. So number one, when you're saying that you know that this is going to lead to this outcome, you are now actually making an epistemic claim. And epistemic claims, unless you're an epistemic minimalist, is going to require justification. I don't know what sort of epistemic views of epistemic justification you hold.
I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what epistemic is.
Epistemic, it just means in relation to knowledge and justification. Because when you say that you know something, that's different from merely saying you believe it. So you could say that you believe that the United States outlawing abortion. Yeah,
these are things that I know.
That outlawing abortion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So no, continue.
So you're saying that it sounds like what you're saying is that outlawing abortion isn't actually going to reduce the number. And at that point, you're making, again, the epistemic claim, which is going to require justification. And I'm just saying that you don't know if maybe in the future we're going to have a new method for actually reducing the rate of abortion, such as just adding in harsher punishments if you get caught.
But Cody, you understand that murder is illegal, and people are put into jail and fined and whatever, and murder still happens. Like, I just don't believe. And I also, again, it's like you so badly want to take choice away from women, and I don't believe that it's because you care about the life of this child. Like, I really don't. I believe that you think that you have a moral high ground, that you don't believe in the decision making of women around you. And I just think it's not appropriate for you to get involved in an issue that has nothing to do with you. This is a conversation that a woman should have with their partner, with potentially their doctor if they think that that's appropriate. The law has nothing to do with this because that is not a fully formed person with personhood. That is
newborns are not fully formed either.
But
They're sentient, though.
Newborns are sentient, and there are other people who could like if I left a newborn on the street, someone else could pick up that newborn and raise it. If I take out my fetus and put it on the street, you can't take that fetus and shove it up someone else's vagina and ask them to grow it. It's not the same. There's so many times where we have these conversations where people use hypotheticals and they don't apply because it's just simply not the same.
I actually have a hypothetical I want to ask. I've been dying to ask.
You guys got to wrap it soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Actually, Cody, we have to wrap in like literally probably now, honestly. But I'd love if you would call back another time because I'm enjoying this conversation.
No,
But
let me ask the hypothetical really quick. I'll make it really quick.
Yeah, Taylor, go ahead.
Okay, if a woman has an adult son and he needs her kidney to survive, should it be the law that she has to give her kidney?
No, I would say that the symmetry breaker here is that it wasn't foreseeable when you had this kid that you were going to be the only person on earth that could supply a kidney. So, but I would say that in the case of abortion, I'm sure you've heard the term causal obligation thrown around. I would say that what makes her causally obligated to that fetus to provide basic care is due to the fact that she is a rational agent that knew it was foreseeable that she was going to be the only person that could sustain its life.
And what if she didn't know she was going to get pregnant in the first place? Is that not the same?
Oh, then I would give an exception. Like I would just call that a grape exception at that point. I think that's something. There's
all different situations. Like a woman didn't know she could get pregnant, as in, like the doctor told her she couldn't, or she doesn't have sex education, or whatever the issue might be.
If she doesn't have like that sort of, and I'm just going to call it basic education because that's what I think it is. I think that just qualifies as what I would label as a grape exception. Maybe I'm not using grape in the way that typical people use it, but I would call it a grape exception.
See, that's also very demeaning because this is a system that we have been put into. We are not given sex education, so we don't know. Do you know the amount of times, I don't know if you know, Cody, I'm a sex educator. Do you know the amount of times that I share with grown women that pre-cum can have viable sperm in it? And this is the first time they've ever heard that?
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but I think that this is obviously rare though. Most people do know that pregnancy can lead to that, but yeah.
Also, wait. So I'm wondering, with the mom that you said should probably be responsible for giving that one child milk, or else they would die. Do you think she shouldn't do it since it wasn't like in her, like since she didn't know that was going to happen, or she didn't plan for that, or whatever?
Since she didn't know it was foreseeable.
Yeah.
That she'd be the only person.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's only one sufficient way to ground an obligation. I would ground the obligation in other aspects. Like, for example, now you have a sentient being with interest, and the sentient being with interest that is like in front of you, it would cause like great harm, and you're at a very like
so
low
why doesn't that
preventing a lot of harm.
Why doesn't that apply for the kidney
thing? Obligation that I just want to make very clear, the causal obligation that I laid out, that's not a sufficient and necessary condition. That is merely sufficient. It's not a necessary condition to be obligated to somebody. Like in the same way that if you were in a swimming pool and you didn't cause a newborn baby to slip into the swimming pool and start drowning, I still think that you would have an obligation to go save that newborn because it's a sentient being with interests.
It doesn't make sense to say that one, she's obligated to give her body and the other one isn't.
In which case is she not obligated to give her body, in my view?
When she needs her son's kidney.
We really have to pause because we have another show starting in 10 minutes and we have to get through super chats. Cody, call back next week.
Fine.
I'm down to continue this conversation with you next week if you want to.
Okay, that sounds good. All right.
All right. Bye, Cody. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a super chat speed run. I would be down to talk to Cody again because I think his ideas are. I think that. I mean, obviously, I think he's wrong, but I think that. But I think I don't know. At least we can have a conversation. Yeah. All right, $5 from Alyssa Nguyen, Les Miserables. Oh, I did that show my senior year of high school. Liam Neeson is a ex-convict whose employee dies. He feels guilty, adopts her daughter, and ends up a fugitive on the run. I feel like, is there more in this, or are we just explaining the plot of Les Mis?
We're getting a series of these.
Oh, okay. So I'll continue the series. Oh, Schindler's List, 1993. Liam Neeson sees someone's daughter get executed by Nazis and suffers a breakdown. He then hires a bunch of Jewish people. Okay, I'm seeing the pattern. Okay. Which one's after this? Taken, 2008. Liam Neeson's daughter gets kidnapped, and he uses his particular set of skills to go on a destructive rampage and rescue her.
What is happening?
He's the best dad ever. Oh, okay. And that's all from that string. And so in conclusion, Liam Neeson is the best dad ever.
Oh, that's not the end, by the way. There's just other ones that are going to pepper in now.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, Taylor, you take this one, and then I'll pick up again.
$5 from Joshua Everett. A lot of Christians follow faith, just the borrowed infallibility. Whatever they say / do must be good and right because they are the ones saying / doing it. Yeah, I agree.
As Christians, it's the Christian way. Oh, okay. We're continuing. Ponyo, 2009. Liam Neeson's daughter runs away. He thinks she was taken and causes ecological havoc on Japan while trying to get her back.
$5 from Just
Wrench It
Jacks. Bring back the soup loop. What?
Soup loop.
You explained that to me before.
Okay, Battleship 2012. Liam Neeson disapproves of his daughter's boyfriend. He comes around after the boyfriend proves himself during an alien invasion. Okay.
Yeah, he's just doing everything, I guess. $20 from Kelly Bean. I am bisexual and married to a man. I remember questioning my sexuality as well. Then I remembered a man was one of my options. I don't question anymore. Fair
Period. Yeah, exactly. That was one of your options.
Yeah, that's a good, clear explanation.
So when people are like, "You're bisexual, but you're married to a man," right? That was one of the options that I had just listed moments ago. The Dark Knight Rises 2012. Liam Neeson's daughter blames Bruce for his death and causes untold amounts of destruction to Gotham to avenge him. I can't wait to see where this goes.
$20 from Dusk Frame. I relate. I recently got into a relationship, and she told me she was scared to approach me because I got so far to not show that I'm attracted to anybody out of fear of being creepy, that she thought I didn't like her. Yeah, I mean, dating stuff is scary, honestly. Approaching people is scary.
Yeah, it is scary. It is scary. Oh, £5 for Mystic Mind Analysis. I went to my local Pride last Saturday with Bestie. I've never felt more like myself.
Aww.
Much love to all the queer folks out there. Hashtag heart emoji. Oh, happy Pride again.
So sweet.
I haven't done anything Pride related. I've been so...
Me neither. Oh, that's a lie. Guess what? I started collecting Pokemon cards that have a rainbow in the background, and I'm going to do a Pride parade. I hate this.
Is this a Pride page?
Pride page.
We got it. We got it. Okay, wait, I'll continue with this series. Happy early Father's Day. Hopefully without all the daddy-daughter issues Liam Neeson's movie daughters must have. That's hysterical. Thank you, Alyssa. That was awesome. And again, our takeaway is Liam Neeson is the best dad. Happy Father's Day specifically to Liam Neeson. And no one else.
The best dad ever.
Yeah.
$5 from the Atheist Mechanic. I can appreciate y'all's patience for some callers, but Jeremiah is so dense he won't agree to any opposing points. Yeah.
Yeah. We need Abby to come back. That was awesome.
And Mystic Mind Analysis, I will show you the page once I'm done.
You will fix Abby and she will fix Jeremiah, hopefully.
Yes.
Domino effect.
Yes. $5 from Alyssa Nguyen. If God exists, if God exists, we are all of the people who drown. Oh, we are.
Where?
Same.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to rush and it's making me dumb. If God exists, where are all of the people who drowned after their pool ladders just mysteriously disappeared? Exactly. And that is a stunning Sims reference. Thank you so much. Also, like, in what world? Like, Lux having to be like, the word is where? That's...
It's okay. I was like, okay. I sounded like Courage the Cowardly Dog. $5 from Little EP Girl. Friendly reminder that Ada Lovelace invented programming. A trans woman revolutionized microchips. Everything he does, he owes to women.
Oh, that's so good.
They won't typically. I've had this conversation with people like him. Typically, they'll say they won't accept it anyway. It's dumb. It's
so
but
ridiculous.
Yeah, it is a good point though.
They'll be like, well, the computer was built by a man. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
$5. Well, are you a computer repairman or do you do programming? Right.
Computer.
$5 from the atheist mechanic. As a native Tennessean, I apologize for Jeremiah. We are not all trash like he is. We don't claim him. Thank you so much. Although I've heard Tennessee is like way more red than I thought. Like more red than purple, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I always thought it was super red, but I also could be wrong. I also thought Florida or Texas was the most conservative state, and that's not true either.
Not anymore.
$5 from Lloyd Weatherford. The first programmers were women, as it was considered tedious, repetitive, feminine work like sewing. Women coded the Apollo missions. Thank you.
Wait. Stop. I have chills
Just
thinking
heard
about
that this week today, or like this week also, that this was just considered tedious, repetitive. And I think that's so interesting. I want to read more about it.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Oh my God, I wish we had this. I wish I saw those super chats coming in while we were on the phone with him. Guys, if he calls back, remind me in the chat. $5, the atheist mechanic. Hey, Jeremiah, toil these newts. The damn sensor. Yeah, toil these nuts. Love it. Thank you.
$5 from Joshua Everett. Ugh, they are always just that disrespectful and lousy and terrible people. Jeremiah's kid's mom doesn't have a partner. She has an extra kid.
That's the vibe that it was giving. That's what it was giving. And also, do you like how she was like, I don't always agree with what he says. I know her ass when he came downstairs with a phone. I know her ass went. $5 from Meg 801. Childbirth aside, Jeremiah's wife has a job I could never do. Putting up with his misogynistic shit every day without ending up on Snapped. You know what's also funny that I'm realizing now? He had the nerve to say that his job is harder than his wife's when he was dicking around on the phone for waiting on hold to talk to us. And what is his wife doing? Childcare, taking care of their child. He had to go like run over to her like a toddler and be like, can you have this conversation? Okay.
That's facts. $5 from Bobby Kingston. Jeremiah is a liar. No, his pants are all on fire. He does not inspire even one shred of desire. So his wife should say goodbye. That was funny.
Love it. Thank you so much. $5 from Joshua Everett for the Rescue Abby Fund.
That is hilarious.
I've yet to meet an Abby that I didn't like, so.
$10 from Melatonail. I'm a programmer and a woman. I stayed with a woman. I stayed with my sis for 5 days in the hospital after an emergency birth. I'm miserable at my job, but it's nowhere near what my sister went through. Fair enough.
$5 from Wizard of Frobaz. May I put Jeremiah in a footlocker and help people look for him? I don't know if I get it, but you know what? Hell yeah.
No, you may not.
Okay, no, you may not.
$5 from Meg. So can he explain how someone can sin if they have no understanding of what the difference between good and evil and right/wrong is? Yeah, that's always an interesting conversation that can last a while.
Yeah. $5 from Don Quixote. That's funny. Seems to me that Jeremiah just wants to be the chairman of He-Man Women Haters Club. We had a lot of it. Cody's conversation too. It's like, just say you hate women. Just say you hate us and you don't trust us and you want to infantilize us and treat us like children.
Facts. $5 from
Gertrude Schmidt.
Gertrude Schmidt. Jeremiah swerved so hard to avoid women slaves as a topic because Forrest hung up on him for saying slavery can be moral. Yeah, he started saying some weird things and I wasn't exactly sure what he meant, but that all makes sense now. Yeah.
I appreciate the like on a level of like to be respectful, hanging up on people, but I love watching people dig their own graves. I love it. It like fuels me in a way that I can't even describe.
Me life.
Oh my God. It adds like 5 years to my life every time we do it. 2666 from Elec Base. Some compensation for having to repeatedly deal with that salient pause that shows Jeremiah's ineptitude in lying about a phone breaking up. Such cowardice. Good calling it out though. And isn't he Euro? Joel, sorry. I don't know. Euro? I don't know. Also, I'd like to just note that I was able to read. I don't know. I would like to just draw to your attention that I was able to read ineptitude, but I couldn't read where. So,
hey, it'd be like that. $10 from Legally Mod. Abortion actually increases the birth rate. Women who have unwanted children typically only have 1 or 2, but women who abort unwanted children typically have 3 or 4 later in life when they're ready. That's a great point.
Thank you,
I'm gonna lock that away in my brain.
Yeah, I saw someone be like, it's hard to risk trying to get pregnant if you know that you can't get DNC if you miscarry.
Yeah.
Exactly. $5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. Restaurant, no shirt, no shoes, no service. My body, my choice. Cody, probably.
Oh my God. $5 from Joshua Everett. We may need a new World War?
Oh,
that's
World
such
War.
a funny way to come along to reduce the number of 21-year-olds who think they know things. Oh my, that's dark.
It is so annoying that this man is 21 and he's telling me what
I know.
I'm 33. I have to listen to your ass about this. Oh my God. 21, by the way. He just was able to legally
just graduated
order
high school.
He could just now legally order a beverage, but he wants to put legal restrictions on a life-changing, life-altering, life-threatening condition that I could potentially have. Okay. $5 from Coffee Mom. Which internal organs is Cody willing to negotiate in this conversation? Just kidding. Put it on the ballot and see what the people think.
Yep.
Actually, maybe we should start proposing to people that what if you have 2 kidneys and you're able to donate one, you're actually required to donate it by a certain age.
That's what I would. Oh, well, it's not the same exact thing, but that's basically what I was saying to him earlier is should someone have to give a kidney if the person is going to die? And he said no.
Right.
So, $5 from Bobby Kingston. My take, Cody, is worse than Jeremiah. More polite, technically less annoying, arguably, but a deeper misogynist and poisoned the well from the start.
I agree. But at least it was a coherent conversation. I know fucking clue what we were talking about with Jeremiah half the time. $10 from Space Barbarian, although it was cracking me up when he was saying something. What did he say? Like the symmetry, whatever it was hysterical. $10 from Space Barbarian. Do forced pregnancy advocates realize that they mean armed thugs who work for the state will threaten people with violence and incarceration to keep people pregnant? Right. Yeah. I need to also
realize that.
Yeah, I need to start phrasing it as forced pregnancy because you are not pro-life, obviously, because we discussed why. Anyway, another riveting day talking to men who want to make decisions on behalf of our body. What else is new? We are going to send you guys off to Calling It Now with Jimmy and Ari, so stay tuned. Thank you, Lux, for producing and also telling me how to say the word where. To our patrons, go to patreon.com/calltheline. Thank you to Dragon, who was screening for us and all of our mods in the chat. Taylor?
Earlier I wanted to say, computer, make these guys super gay and horny. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Dang it!
But it's so much funnier that I don't know.